At this point where I'm at in my journey today, my main focus is to help men just like you. So I'm going on 15, 16 years clean and sober on this journey, and it was an intense journey, and it was a rock bottom experience. That hence the name of the book. But I went to some dark places, but it really made me who I am today. And so what does life look like today for me? The experiences that I had as an individual, filling everything I could in that God-shaped hole. I mean,
Yeah.
everything. I stuffed everything in there: chicks, booze, you name it,
Yeah.
and nothing satisfied. And I had plenty of everything to
Yeah.
stuff in there: cars, houses, you name it.
All the worldly success.
Yeah,
All of it.
everything that we are constantly told that's gonna make you happy.
Yeah.
And it just never does. Really, essentially went from park place to park bench.
Robin Hood and Little John are walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other one has to say, reminiscing this and that and having such a good time.
All right. Welcome to the Front of Center podcast, FOC podcast, brought to you by Rucklist, our company that we are working on getting you set up to get out in the woods on any adventure, really. And so today, lucky enough, I'm Brian Trainer. We're here in the studio with Rocky Romano.
Good to meet you.
Yeah,
pleasure.
and Rocky's going to be fun. Rocky is outside of the box of maybe the normal, a lot of what we're talking about here, just because of what I love to do is hunting and fishing. We've done some of that together.
A little bit.
But the fun part of this is, a lot of times we're talking about the adventure, and I think today a fun conversation is going to be about the man on the adventure, and you've been through some stuff, and we're going to get into that. And so my goal with having you on, Rock, is just to get, just to kind of talk about your journey. You're comfortable with it. We've talked, and you've talked a lot about that publicly.
Yes.
One thing that Rock brought us today, he got me my very own special signed copy.
Yeah, man. It's a personal message in there too.
Book. I didn't want to read it without, with you in front of me, right? You know how that is.
Yeah.
Rock Bottom is the book here. I'll get that glare off. And we're going to get into your story, but I want the listeners to know that this is outside of the norm, and we talk a lot about the adventure, the positive messaging, the journey of man and women. But I think right now a lot of our listeners are probably men, and so one big piece of that, and because my life and my heart is really for the heart of man beyond just the adventure, but how do we talk about the guy before he gets out there in the woods or he gets out there on the river? And something that we're going to touch on is just addiction and your journey through that. And I think that I'm around enough men to know that there's a lot of men, inevitably, if you live this life in this human body, and if you push it too much, you push too hard, you're going to run into some of that. And I think that it's very common, especially among adventurous, high producer people that are seeking those edges. Another commonality with that is they go hard.
It's a good point. It's I think everybody, when you back when I was at City Team, we'd ask kids, the youth, what do you think a alcoholic or an addict looks like? And they'd raise their hands. The guy with the brown bag with the heavy trench coat laying in the alley.
Yes.
And it's not what it looks like.
No.
So
it's not. It's interesting because I am sensitive to I don't mind touching on the darker side of life,
Yeah.
That's a reality. And I think it's important to just acknowledge that like your normal addict or alcoholic, I grew up with two of them, my mom and dad both, right? I grew up primarily with my father from kind of teenage years on, and he spent his life, dealing with alcoholism in and out of recovery of different types. And so I grew up with that. And so for me, the heart of it is it's a thing I want to talk about. It's something I'm always aware of personally, because I'm aware that it's in me, that there's a possibility that if I make a habit out of drinking, too many Coors Banquets, then I'm going to go there. Right. And I have chosen, and you can push on this, but I've chosen to really limit that. I've never, my kids, I don't ever drink like dinner. I don't do a lot of that, but I will have a old fashioned with buddies here and there. I'll have a beer a couple times a month, right? But I've got my limitations to that, and I'm not trying to open a door for people that have gone too far. And I think that
Yeah,
the men that have gone there, they
it's a
know
good
their
point.
limits. But for those that haven't, I would also, I guess, encourage, if you haven't dealt with addiction, be aware of it, right? Because I've seen one too many guys that are the top quality dudes. You can't make enough money to outrun it. You can't be a good enough guy involved in your church or
Right.
whatever it is. It'll get you anywhere. So, Rock, I don't know where you want to start that conversation, but I think that it's important that we go there. I think that maybe first, though, I'd like to just have you tell us kind of where you sit in the world today and how you spend your days. You know?
Yeah, I think at this point where I'm at in my journey today, my main focus is to help men just like you. So I'm going on 15, 16 years clean and sober on this journey, and it was an intense journey, and it was a rock bottom experience. That hence the name of the book. But I went to some dark places, but it really made me who I am today. And so what does life look like today for me? The experiences that I had as an individual, filling everything I could in that God-shaped hole. I mean,
Yeah.
everything. I stuffed everything in there: chicks, booze, you name it,
Yeah.
and nothing satisfied. And I had plenty of everything to
Yeah.
stuff in there: cars, houses, you name it.
All the worldly success.
Yeah,
All of it.
everything that we are constantly told that's gonna make you happy,
Yeah.
and it just never does. And so I really essentially went from Park Place to Park Bench,
Yeah.
and
And were
became
you literally sleeping? We'll get into your story, but I mean, were you literally sleeping on a park bench?
I was in Monterey about a week from becoming homeless, and just by some divine intervention, ended up getting into a Christian mission in San Francisco that was a recovery program, and
Mm-hmm.
got accepted to go to that program. But I was a block from the beach, soon to be on the beach.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a place to live in that. And thank God that mission
And possessions wise, down to nothing.
down to nothing, zero, lost it all. I mean,
Yeah. So you
yeah.
walk in with paint the picture for me. You walk in to that mission with, I'm picturing a backpack or just the clothes on your back. I mean,
It was
$5 in your pocket. What do we have?
no bucks in my pocket, and I had a suitcase. The crazy part about it is that at the moment of surrender, I'll backtrack just a
No,
little
please.
bit.
Yeah.
So I remember I was living in a converted garage in Monterey on English Street. It was about a block. It was about a block from the beach, and I knew that I was soon going to be living on the beach. And Brian, I just had one of those moments where I had done everything. I've exhausted all my options, and everybody was pretty fed up with me, and I was fed up with me.
Yeah.
And I was in this converted
Were you
garage.
still a good guy or were you an asshole at the time?
I was a good asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was a good guy.
Because you can kind of be the life of the party today. You walk in the living room, you elevate the space.
Yeah,
You know, so was that thing was that always in you?
yeah.
Yeah. So you still had that part of you that good time Charlie.
Yeah, the only
Drunk.
difference is now is what you see is what you get. That's
Yeah.
who I am. You've spent enough time around me. There's I don't know, self-reflection. You've been around me enough. I'm kind of like this all the time, right? So
Yeah.
you don't see four different versions of Rocky.
Right.
So it's kind of who I am. And so I put on a mask there. And at that moment where I knew that I was going to be on the beach, and I didn't come from a religious background or anything of that nature. I hit my knees in this studio apartment and right in front of the bed, and I just said the prayer that we've all heard. It's, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I have come to the end of the road, and I know that what I'm doing is not working. I just can't do this anymore. If you are real, God, help me.
Right.
And at that moment, things shifted, and something shifted in my spirit. I knew that from that moment, something something happened. And I ended up going to an AA meeting in downtown Monterey that day, which I met a lady, Suzette Washington, who got me in at City Team. And the crazy part of that all, I felt all of the, I felt the divine intervention, and everything started shifting and things were being put into place. And my sister-in-law was going to give me a ride to San Francisco, and my brother put my stuff in storage. And I remember feeling like, wow, this is going to be fantastic. And getting off the highway onto 6th Street, going into the Tenderloin, I looked to my left, pimps, hookers, street thugs, look to my right, heroin addicts. I mean, just complete chaos. She makes a U-turn right in front of City Team Ministries, which is 164 6th Street. I looked at that metal gate. I looked at her. So, well, I'm going to go check in. And I'm telling you,
Did she go in there with you, or was it?
No, she waited in the car. My bag was in the car. I went in, saw the director. I said, yeah, go get your stuff. And went and grabbed my bag, gave her a hug. She jumped in the car, and she remembers driving away, looking in the rear view mirror and seeing the panorama with me standing there holding my suitcase, and just a panorama of nothing but absolute chaos around me.
Yeah.
Thinking, what did I just do?
Where did I just leave this guy? Yeah.
Where did I just left, I just dropped a piece of meat in a shark tank.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of, but this little mission was, it's called City Team Ministries. And I was welcome there, and it started the journey. And so it was crazy. I mean, the 2.5 years, if you've never been to the Tenderloin,
right,
and you're in San Francisco, just go there. Just go there and just walk about 2 blocks in the Tenderloin. And while you're walking through there,
so I'd be packing like
you see,
something as well. Like, don't just go.
Yeah, I would be packing, and you just reflect that the guy that's on this video talking to Brian Trainer was there for 2.5 years, and
so you stayed.
Yeah.
Because you needed to stay, or because you turned around and said, I want to give back to this now, and I'm going to support the other men and women coming in?
Well, I got kicked out. I didn't get kicked out. I had to leave, and I had to do jail time. So I was looking at 1.5 years in county, probably some prison time.
What got you jail time? What'd you do?
I got 3 DUIs in 3 weeks. I got in a bar fight, I got in a bar fight, and then I got in a fight in a parking lot in Monterey. 2 guys jumped me. Guy hit me in the back of the head with a bottle of Jack Daniels. And
that'll do it.
Yeah. So
they don't break like in the movies, do they? They don't.
No, that stuff. What is that stuff they use?
Fake sugar glass or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like you can eat that stuff. That hurt.
Real quick, walk me through a day before we've got to the mission. I want to hear what was a normal Rocky day.
In the addiction?
In addiction. Like what was it? What did it look like?
Well, the latter part, circling the drain. I bought a home down in where the old Stapleton Airport. They put in some brand new homes down there. So I bought a home down there. And when I broke up with my girlfriend, I had a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And so the day
you were successful, though. I mean, you had been making really good money. You weren't just living on the street to start with.
No, I was.
When I say successful, I mean financially, you made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I by definition, I wouldn't probably, now knowing, looking back, like I know you weren't successful in the sense that we would like to define that as, but you had financially had been winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's from a worldly point of view. I mean, I was, and I've told you this before. I was living in about an 8,000 square foot house. I had a couple motorcycles. I had a Lexus. I had a Jeep. I had a company car. I had a Porsche Carrera.
My son, 13-year-old son, looks at you and goes, "That guy's got it all figured out."
He's got, and this is what the world
tells us we want.
Yeah,
he's got all the things.
Never been more miserable.
Garage to hold him. Yeah.
So lost that, broke up with my girlfriend, and I had a period of time there where my brother died of alcoholism, my mom died of breast cancer, and I lost that job at Corbel Champagne Company as a Western Regional VP of Sales, and so I ended up in this house that I still had enough money to go buy a home, and bought a home, and then the addiction kicked in. So a day looked like I'd get out of the shower and I would do a line of heroin, would do tar heroin or whatever I could get a hold of, and then do some cocaine. Usually jump in my Porsche and go for a drive or whatever I wanted to do that day. And I'd come down through Morrison, stop at the Morrison Inn, have a couple drinks, and then come back home and usually get high the rest of the day. And it's a pretty empty existence. And then in between doing that, girlfriends here and there, online dating, just trying to put it all together
To feel something.
and to feel something and to make it look like I wasn't what everybody knew that I was.
Yeah.
It's weird when you're in the addiction and you're really circling the drain. This mind game that goes on with you is you know that you have a problem, but you think you're cunning enough to put on a mask to where nobody around you knows you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, it's so strange, but as I reflect back on it, it was insane. And so the walking into City Team at that moment when I did that was the beginning of a complete and utter surrender and letting go of every worldly possession that I ever. So the cars were gone, the house was gone, the girlfriend was gone, my country club buddies were gone. All my so-called friends were gone.
Right.
Everybody in the industry was gone, and most of my family members disowned me.
Disowned you.
Yeah, and you've been through it, so I can't really blame them.
It's hard when you're connected to an addict, and I say this with all the love in the world, but I've always explained it like there's a gap when you're willing to jump, and it's like it starts out here. So let's say first time in rehab, I'm still willing to jump. Second time in rehab, the gap hasn't grown to the point that I'm not willing to go over it. But at some point, sixth or seventh time in rehab, in my life, where you go, that gap is just too big. You're on your own,
Yeah.
And I love my father to death, but I don't know, I want to say 6 or 7 or 8, somewhere in there. He was living in one of our properties. I said, you drink again and I'm evicting you,
It's tough.
and it was really, really, so he did. And it's his story. I don't want to share too much of it, but
Right.
we were sitting on the porch and just hanging out, and he had a non-alcoholic beer and I was drinking a beer. So I'm not doing him any favors. And I was like, let me try that and see what that non-alcoholic stuff tastes like. Well, I take a drink and it tasted more like vodka than, you know what I mean? So he was just spiking the NAs with vodka, and neither one of us even looked at each other. I just took a drink. I put it down. I look out into the field there, and he doesn't look at me. And I feel horrible for how that must have felt for him in that moment to go like, fuck, what now? And so he went to rehab and we moved his stuff all out of the house, and when he got back and I, like I said, it is so hard to be that person in an addict's life where he comes home from rehab and I go, I'm not sure where you're going to live, but it's not here. There's your stuff's in storage,
Yes.
and he relapsed essentially that same day. Came out of a shitty kind of free. It was part of a ministry, but not a good ministry. They did a horrible job. They were horrible. Didn't know it. You know how it is. You check somebody in like your sister-in-law and you leave and you go, I hope they know what they're doing. But you don't know. And you don't hear from them for 2 or 3 or 4 months, however long they are in that program. And I'll use quotes for that. So he relapsed the day he got out, ended up going to our uncle's ranch and got squared away there, just far enough away from everything. He did the country boy version of, go to the ranch and sober up, but the point of that story is, and I hope he forgives me for sharing his story, and it's not mine to share,
No,
but
I get it.
there's a part of it that's mine to share. And that is the part where you realize at some point that I can't jump this anymore. I can't help you anymore. And the best thing I can do to help you is to let you hit rock bottom. And that's a shitty place to be. as a son, especially, it'd have to be that part of that story and go, I'm part of what's going to get you there, you know? So not fun, but I get you when you say most of your family said you're on it. They don't exactly disown you, but they're going, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and your dad and addicts in general, what I tell guys is that now we have a sober living facility. And I tell guys, I guess, how long did you spend digging that ditch?
Yes.
It's not even a ditch; it's a canyon, man.
For sure,
It's so
canyon.
that thing's 500 feet deep, so it's going to take you a while to get out of that.
Yeah.
And then all the collateral damage, and imagine your dad's drinking that NA beer. First of all, that's probably a bad idea. Secondly,
In hindsight, it very much is.
Yeah,
I believe it's a bad idea for
it's
at least at that part of his journey in recovery.
It's a non, but imagine how he felt when you took a sip off of that.
It was a horrible moment.
Yeah.
It was a horrible moment.
It is a moment that he came to, I would imagine, because I've been there, and it's like he realized that this is out of control, that he can't do it, man. And that's where the supernatural comes into play, because there's only one thing. Only God can take away the obsession. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The obsession to drink. And when that gets taken away, it's a gift. And
is it a daily thing? I mean, is it something that you go like, when does a guy stop white knuckling that?
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, man, I know that I know that I know. And I'm not huge in AA. I did that. Those were my humble beginnings. I've probably been to 1,000 AA meetings.
Yeah.
And so you hear a lot with alcoholics that, God is mentioned a lot. It's 7 of the 12 steps is God, and
a higher power, right? They don't tell you particularly which higher power. Is that a correct understanding?
It is, but in the book, the origins of that organization is very Christian, right?
Yeah.
So they used to call them the James Gang or the Oxford Group.
Yeah.
And it's become a little bit watered down, and but to the point is that it is a God program, and and the tagline is really for all addicts and alcoholics is that God will do for you what you cannot do for yourself. And that's true in life in general.
Yeah, it is.
Right? I mean, in your business ventures, in all the things that you do in life, which are numerous, all the different adventures that you're in, how much control do you have over all of this, right?
Yes.
Minimal.
Little to none.
And I think it's all a heart condition. I think once I had that moment at City Team that I'll tell you about, once I had that moment, man, I just got set free. It says in the word, it says, who the Son sets free is free indeed.
Yeah.
And so I don't have the obsession anymore. I have to, when I go to a bar or a restaurant or whatever, I go there. If you and I are going to a bar to have something to eat, go there with a purpose. I don't go to a bar to hang out at a bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably
for work or to connect with somebody or
Yeah. If we're going and we're having a bunch of guys get together and we're grabbing a burger or something, fantastic.
Right.
I'm not worried about guys drinking around me. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals where I am not the judge. And I don't look at people. It's obvious when you and I are hanging out and when you're out and about, it's like that. You look at certain guys when you're fishing or hunting that you have gone on trips with, and you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm not going to tell this guy what to do, but he probably shouldn't.
He probably should lay off. That's a struggle for me, honestly. I think growing up with two parents, I know there's a name for it. The chairs are squeaky, but they don't come through on the mic, so you'll be okay. But it's
good.
I try to make these things look pretty because they're just old beat up ass chairs, and I freshen them up, and they're squeak like hell now. So
it's the look, man. The looks
it looks good.
Yeah, it is.
So
it's all good.
So but that is something that, like, if I go on a fishing trip or hunting or just in general, I think being growing up in that environment, it's really, really hard for me not to see. and I'm affected by it. And I hate to admit that, but it affects me negatively. To be around a group of guys that they're getting just a little unhinged, or when they wake up and it's the, you know what I mean? The Baileys and the coffee first thing on the hunting trip. And then it's the, you know, the flask during the day, and then it's night where they're tying one on. And I feel bad. And I've told multiple friends this, that like, you know, take me with a grain of salt, you know, because this is just a thing that I have a hard time seeing it and not thinking, man, that either is a problem or it's going to be a problem. And I'm sure there's guys that spend time around me, they go, that you're a real bummer, man. You know what I mean? In that way. And I try not to be a bummer in that way. It's just, all I can be is who I am, man. And I, you know, growing up around it, and it's, you know, it's, if people say, well, why are you so hard and why are you picking? I go, it stole my fucking childhood. You know what I mean? And
there's some wounds there.
That. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I work on that. That's a constant thing I'm working on to try and, you know what I mean? To try and work through that. And but it's just hard for me not to see it. I don't know.
At least you admit it. The guys we're talking about, a lot of men that I deal with are, you know, men in the workplace, guys in the construction world that we live in.
Absolutely.
They live in what I call quiet desperation.
Yes.
Right. So they have some issues, and keep in mind, probably 99% of the guys that I deal with at some level have some childhood trauma. I don't care if it was verbal abuse, molestation, abandonment, you know, the buffet table's long and wide.
Yeah.
And so those issues that go unaddressed take root in our lives. Yeah. And if we don't face them head on, everybody's got a Goliath, and we have to face that stuff head on. Yeah. There's a lot of broken men.
Especially men. We don't share very well.
No.
Right? We have our Every Other Wednesday group, and we go deep and we talk, and it's a good group of men between 10 and 25, depending on the day. Just it's a come if you can thing. And there's no business thing. There's no religious thing. It's just men sitting and talking about life. And when you get real with a group of men that big, there's a lot of real stuff that guys are dealing with on a daily basis. Right. And there's the pressures, and there's life, and it's, this isn't an easy thing we're doing. You know, I think it's always funny when people, they don't like to admit that, like, this is not easy. I mean, it gets easy, but life is, there's a lot of pressure out there, you know, and especially if you're a father and you have that, you know, that provider sort of gift that is being a provider, that I'm grateful for it every day, but it comes with its pressures too.
Yeah, no question about it. It's what the, you know, my calling is now. And you're saying, what do you live for now? Yeah. Now, conversely, you know, my life, I just, you know, it's hard for me to do an interview without talking about the Lord.
That's why we're here,
I just can't do it, because it's so, it's so who I am.
Yeah.
But it's for that reason, there's a calling on my life to minister to men. There's a reason that you and I are talking right now. There's a kindred spirits. Yes. You know, I like the way that this guy operates. I like the way the guy conducts his life. I like his character. I like his honesty and his truth, and the way that he follows through when he says he's going to do something. Yeah. Those are all biblical principles, and you don't even have to mention it that way. But to your point, when you're having these meetings with the guys, and guys have these deep-rooted issues, it says in there, you know, confess your sins to one another. So what? So you may be healed.
Yeah.
So we do these things, and we pour into other men's lives, and it's so crazy how, you know, we have these tailgate events and construction events and roofing events and all these events, and all these tough guys are around us. And, hey, man, how you doing, Brian? I'm good, bro. I'm good. Everybody's good, right?
Everybody's good. Absolutely.
Nobody is like, hey, Brian, you got a second, man? I'm kind of struggling in this area. And men, man, we have a tendency to isolate, to drift.
Yes.
To not do what we're doing right now.
How often do you see somebody, because this is a topic that's come up on multiple other podcasts with guys, of when you know a guy's hurting, to pick up the phone? You know what I mean? Because we're bad at that.
Real bad.
But a lot of the men I've had the chance to talk to tend to be really good at that. They're men that go, I've got quiet time in the truck. I call it a sixth sense thing for me, where it'll be random people, and I'm just like, I'm supposed to call this guy, you know, and you pick up the phone and you dial it and you go, how are you today, man? You know, like, really, 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 how are you? not just, oh, it's good, man. Everything's good. Because it's always like, I'm good. I'm real busy. I'm good though. And
Everybody's busy.
Everybody's fucking busy, right? And I hate it, and it makes me crazy because I hate that answer so much, because that's another ego thing. We're supposed to be, as men, we're supposed to be busy. We're supposed to be stressed out. You know what I mean? And but also at the same time, it's good. I got this though. This warrior mentality that is a really a powerful thing, and it's a good thing. But it gets in the way of us having an honest conversation about, like, well, how's your heart though?
See, this is all it is all about that.
100%.
What you just said, it's all a heart issue. The matter of the heart is the heart of the matter. And so it's all heart. God wants your heart. He wants you to open up. He wants you to be the man. He wants you to be the leader.
Yeah.
He wants you to be, man, picking up the phone, we call that the 3,000-pound phone.
Yeah.
Because you have to humble yourself. You have to be transparent. You have to be vulnerable. And you have
absolutely
those things to pick up the phone and go, hey, Brian, man, just checking in with you, bro. How are you doing? And people ask me that quite a bit because I'm in ministry, right? How are you doing? I mean, and they really want to know.
Yeah.
And my answer is, always, it's like, all is well with my soul, right? I'm in a good place. I'm at peace.
Yeah.
There's always flux in your life,
sure,
between work, your kids, your wife, your accounts receivables, your accounts payables,
bro.
all of that stuff is all over the map.
Yes.
And so it's never just completely lines up. So I always like to talk about this because happiness is directly connected to your happenings. It's your happenstance. Joy is something completely different, where there's a peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yes.
And when you meet Brian Trainer, you have that. You always have time. And it seems to, and your brothers are that. I don't know how you guys got where you're at. I know how you got there, but despite your upbringing and the absolute chaos that you went through, how you guys got where you are is a miracle.
Well, I think the blessing of a childhood like we had, and there was love there for sure. There just wasn't a lot of certainty. You know what I mean? And I think that one really big gift you have is when you really literally look in the fridge and there's a bottle of Jack and a half a 6-pack left and mustard and the light bulb. And those are the four things in the fridge. I still have this vision, you know what I mean, of opening it up and going, okay, now what? You know what I mean? And as a young man, when you don't have the ability to say drive to a store, go make money, or financially improve yourself, you got to get creative, or you figure out, like, how am I going to make something out of nothing? And I think that what a gift that is as a young man. Now as an adult, I think that that's where we come from. Speaking of just myself and my brothers, is that this is all for fun and games, and to really separate those things, like the things that really, really matter, from, I always say, I call it the player in the game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like that old saying from when I, don't hate the player, hate the game, which was in reference to men chasing women. But I always think of it like everything we do in the business world, everything outside of my wife and children, you know what I mean, is just for fun. As long as nobody's coming after them. Now you go after them, we have a different conversation, right? But businesses kind of come and go. Accounts receivable, accounts payable, and you can have millions of dollars on both sides of that at the same time and have nothing. I mean, I've had that, where you can put a lot of money in the bank and still believe you got nothing at the end of the day. And so it's I don't know how we got there, except for that I think we've grown up. We grew up knowing, like, this is all just for fun. We have, what a blessing now for me to have control. I think that's the biggie for me, is to go from that as a kid to now going, like, you cannot kill me. You just can't do it, because it's just, I'm too goddamn resourceful.
Yeah.
To be caught up in that and stress about that, right? Because there's a long way between here and zero, and zero is a different thing, and you're going to get little Debbie's out of the dumpster, sitting next to that dumpster going, okay, this is just me. I got pretty much nothing. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be all right. And if you reckon with that when you're 15, 14 years old or whatever it was, it makes the rest of life pretty damn easy, So I think that rock bottom, I think that if you're lucky enough to ever get there, and realize like, I'm still okay. In fact, I might be better than I've ever been, in this moment. And so then, yes. So everything we do out here, this is all just for fun. This studio we sit in, this conversation, all of it is just
we're just borrowing all this stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Your trucks, your vehicles, your
absolutely, man. It can all go away tomorrow.
Everything that we get to steward it, and yes. I think that as we steward the things that we're given well, we get more.
It's weird.
When you're faithful with little, you're faithful with much.
Yes.
But you hold on to everything loosely.
Very loose for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I think the difference is before being a very worldly guy.
Yeah.
All of that stuff owned me. The money.
Yes.
Everything owned me.
You came by that honestly, though, and that's what the world tells us we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen, and it's just, there's people spending billions and trillions of dollars with messaging that goes, you need more of what I got, If you just get one of these. If you just get one more of these, and there's nothing better than buying that brand new $90,000 truck. You know what I mean? And then, farts still stink in a $90,000 truck, just the same as they do in a $2,000 truck, and it's just the same, and it doesn't take very long for the shine to wear off of that,
The smell goes away in about a month.
Yeah, exactly. That new truck smell, it goes away. And it's just, and it's a trip. And I've done that. I'll loan my truck to guys and like people like, what are you? I loaned my truck. There was a guy, I didn't even know him. He was trying to move a piece of furniture that was for free from one of our tenants. And I was like, he couldn't get his car. I was like, hey, take my truck. And a couple of our employees were watching me like, you don't even know that guy. And I was like, he'll bring it back or he won't, we'll see. And
did he bring it back?
He brought it back.
Yeah.
So he brought it back. And it's a trip to see, how that affects the other guys around you. But let's go back to picking up the $3,000 phone.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Or the 3,000 pound phone.
it is 3,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I had a guy. It's funny. I was at a barbecue yesterday. And I have a buddy who's stuck.
Yeah.
And he's stuck in the past with his ex-wife taking him to cleaners. He has a son that he's estranged with. And he had a really difficult childhood. And so we were after the barbecue, we were sitting in the living room, and then finally he had a moment. He said, "Okay, Rock, what do I do?" Okay. And I said, "All right, bro." He goes, "Because I see you and all the stuff you went through, and you seem like nothing bothers you." And I said, "Well, that's not necessarily true, but here's part of the program. Here's what you need to do. Your parents are both deceased, so you need to write each one of them a letter, and you need to pour it all out on the page, everything that you need to say."
In that letter, is he angry? Is he forgiving? Is he asking?
All of it.
Okay.
All of it, because the problem that plagues, I would say, in the church, out of the church, that plagues our society is the one thing is unforgiveness. We want mercy. We want grace. Mm-hmm. We want forgiveness, but we don't want to give it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I said, write those letters. And then what I suggest you do, since your parents are both deceased, is have a moment with your wife. You guys talk about it, pray about it, go down to the lake, get a couple helium balloons, put it in a basket, float it away, light it on fire.
Whatever you're
going to do to release that.
Yeah.
With regards to your wife, the one thing you don't want to do is you need to go talk to her. You need to tell her how you feel, and you need to tell her that you forgive her, and you need to just leave it on her. Just leave it with her. However she responds, she responds.
Yeah.
It's part of doing that step work, and it's cleaning your side of the street up.
Yeah.
With regard to your son, have that same conversation. So he's a good guy, but he is just in bondage to his past, and it's all rooted and grounded in unforgiveness. Yeah. And so why doesn't he want to do that?
Yeah.
His pride, his ego,
Yep.
is the old saying, your ego is not your amigo.
Yeah.
And so your ego doesn't want, like, if I screw up and I was like, hey, Brian, man, I don't know what I was thinking. That was the stupidest thing I've ever done. I grabbed your fishing pole and I snapped it. I meant, and you're like,
Yeah.
and that's the only pole you got. And
Sure.
I'm an idiot. So here's my pole, or whatever the scenario is, just to be transparent with a guy, say, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
At that point, you're set free from the problem. And most people are walking around with all kinds of resentments and unforgiveness.
Yeah.
They set expectations on people that they don't fulfill. And once you don't fulfill their expectation, then the resentment takes over.
Yeah.
This is what this guy that I was with yesterday. And when I was telling him what I just told you, you could see the gears, they were grinding because he didn't
want to let go. Probably most of us don't want to let go of that.
No, and he doesn't. He knows what I was telling him is right.
Yeah.
But every fiber in him does not want to execute it.
Yeah. Well, how do guys let go of that ego without just like deconstructing their whole identity around who they are? Because so much of our identity is the mortar of that is ego, right? So you go and build a big business. I mean, some things like we've done, and yeah, there's the bricks of it, but the mortar is like my ego is what keeps driving me sometimes, admittedly, like to go make more, could do more, to grow bigger, take over the next, open up another regional division or whatever it is we do on the business side. And you really go, do I really need to do that or not? Or why am I doing that?
Why am I doing that? Yeah.
Yeah. I always veil it in like, well, it's going to bless the guy that, you know what I mean? I'm going to have 5 new positions and they're going to love working for us or whatever. But the reality is I don't need to do that, but there is the ego, and there's hopefully there's a healthy version of that ego that goes, it's just kind of for fun. This is an adventure. It's a good thing. I think for me, admittedly, it has risk inherently with it. And I like to push into something that scares me. Right. So I've gotten so dialed into chasing things that are scary, right? That it's like once one thing gets easy, I start another, or I open up another division, we expand it to another location. If we're talking about the business world, and I think that the parallel to what we talk about a lot in this room is the hunting space.
Yeah.
And they do parallel. And it's anytime you're putting yourself at a disadvantage where you might fail, I think it's a reckoning with that ego. I think you go, okay, I'm going to put my ego out there and I'm going to take a risk and we're going to see how this all plays out. And I think that putting yourself at risk or putting yourself in a place that scares you, anything, whether it's like the hunting world where you're going to go like I'll do here soon and go, into the back country, probably going to fail, but you're going to find, you and your boys are going to find those edges, and then it's going to kind of boil up. And I think it's a good way for us to deal with that. Business being the same thing, or, you really want to deal with it, have a couple kids, that'll teach you some lessons for sure.
It's the experience, whoever you go hunting with, you guys all have one goal in mind.
Yep.
Everybody's got a tag. Everybody knows what the end game is.
Absolutely.
And so, but I think what we forget sometimes is we forget the journey.
Yes.
And the journey is when we're walking together, when we have downtime together, when we're sharing a meal together, when we're in the mountains together, when we get to hang out and see God's creation together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we forget to stop and smell the roses. Even when, I've done it when I've gone fishing, hiking.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to get to the top, and so it's
Absolutely.
like, I want to get a buck. I want to get I want to get a moose. It's like, okay, man, chill out. But the experience,
how do you balance that chill out? How do you balance that look around, take it all in life, in marriage, if we're talking about this guy, or as a father, because as a father, you have an objective there too, to raise a man or a woman, into an independent individual that can leave your home, hopefully. And at the same time, how do you slow down? I've noticed that with my son. Like I get so driven sometimes.
Yeah.
On like, you walked up to my house and it's like, he's cleaning the truck. He's mowing the property today. You know what I mean? And it's like, I forgot about the fun part of this thing too. Like I'm good at telling him, here's how you're going to work. You know what I mean? And you're going to learn, you're going to be independent of me. But what about, maybe I should take him fishing. Maybe I should take him on a hike. Maybe we should just play, God forbid, video games together, because that's what he loves to do. But, I can step into that space. And so
I think the challenge for all of us is being present.
Yeah.
hearing what they have to say.
Yeah.
We get caught up in we're not present and just slow down just a little bit to hear what your son has to say to you, to hear what your buddies have to say to you when you guys are up on the mountain, just to be more present. And you got to be intentional about that.
Slowing down.
Slowing down a little bit, because you are driven, but going back to the ego thing, I don't, from knowing you and Adam and your brother, you guys, I trust me, I'm around enough ego driven people. You guys are, I would say, more driven than, and you do like the challenge, but I think you're pretty humble. I mean, your humility shines through, and I think that's attractive because it's an attribute that's not very common.
Right.
And that is to be admired. That's what I'm attracted to. That you're, a lot of people in your companies are like that work for you are humble guys. Yep. Luke's one of those guys. There's others. And
how's a guy start to find that humility in a way that doesn't maybe take away from his success, quote unquote, and his drive? And, how's a guy like start to dabble in, we all work on improvement. You get up in the morning, you got your stuff right. You're going to go, you're going to lift, you're going to, you're going to read, you're going to do what you do, all of the whole, that morning routine that everybody that's trying to be successful tries to dabble in, or the evening, doesn't matter. But rarely, and I've coached a lot of men intentionally, and rarely do you, okay, today we're going to work on your humility, and honestly, if you don't work on it, life is going to do a really, really, really damn good job of handing it over to you. And it's going to be
it'll kick you right in the balls.
Shit sandwich, really. But how do we dabble in that? I mean, I don't think I've ever really thought about that. Like, I'm going to humble myself to this, right? I think I find that I am fairly humble. I've tried and failed a lot, and so life's done a good job for me. But I mean, how might a guy kind of take that step and go, let's find some humility in this and put some of this other stuff down?
Well, that is a big question. That could be an entire interview right there. The humility part, I think there's two. Pride. I always say pride is a friend that'll kill you in the end. Yep. And your ego is not your amigo. And those two attributes are so prevalent and pervasive in a man's life and a lot of women's life that it wants to elevate itself all the time. So we have to, as it says in the good book, die to ourselves daily, right? Yeah. Pick up our cross and die to ourselves. And
life gets a lot easier when you do. I know that's the punchline to what I'm asking, but for goodness sakes, let it go. Doesn't mean you stop working hard. Doesn't mean you double down, go hard, but with a ton of humility, and know, like, this might not work.
When I was hitting those final stages of circling the drain, I tell guys this. I said, listen, man, I was in a 500-foot crevice at the bottom of it, and it was dark down there, and I had a jackhammer, and I was going deeper. The only reason I didn't go any deeper is because I ran out of hose on the compressor. I'm telling you, and when it was time to stop and I hit rock bottom, it was my own road to Damascus experience where I finally hit bottom. And when you get to a point where you get to the end of yourself in life and you have no other options, you are addicted, you're afflicted, you have lost every earthly possession that you've put, all of your self-worth has gone into all these things that you have, and you've lost those. Then you've lost your friends, you've lost your family, you've lost everything that you worked for, and there you are left all by yourself in a pile of shit. And then you're like, okay, I think, and here's where the ego and your pride. And at that moment, that story I told you about, that little renovated garage where I had that moment was the moment I finally decided to tap out. And it took a long time to get there. Yeah. So to your point, to get there, that pride, and I still battle my pride and my ego, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. And so it's quite a journey, and it's man, it's a great question, but we fight that. But humility and transparency and understanding that this is not all about us.
It might just be that first step of going to somebody you've done wrong to and just going, hey, I was an asshole. You know? Yeah. Like just that first little,
It's not easy.
see how it feels, right? You see
Yeah.
how it feels to go to somebody that, I mean, I could probably name 10 today that I was an asshole to last week. You know what I mean? Without, and just looking back and going, hey man, I owe you an apology. For me, I could start with my wife. That would be an easy place because she gets the best and the worst to me, you know, and that wouldn't be hard.
Well said.
Right. And so with the 3,000 pound phone, a thought that hit me when you were talking is, I think a lot of us feel like if we pick up the 3,000 pound phone, and I love that you call it that, because I've always felt like guys think that they need to take that 3,000 pound phone and put it in their own backpack. So I call you and I go, Rock, how you doing? How's your heart? And you go, I got some heavy shit. And I'm like, cool, let's get in it. But I'm not having to take that and carry it with me, right? If we're sitting across from each other at the table, which hopefully we would be at that point, I think that I've always thought of it like you take it out of your backpack, let's say, and you just set it there in the middle. And we just look at it, you know? Neither one of us is open to, I hope you leave it there. I'm not picking it up. I can have the conversation with you, help you take it out of the backpack, but I don't have to carry that with me. And I think a lot of men assume that if we sit down with each other, that you're going to then give that to me and I'm going to carry that weight now. And that's not the way it works in my mind, right? The way I think it should work is you sit down and we go, let's take that out. Let's unburden you from this. Let's set it here. Let's take time. We'll look at it and we'll think about it. But I'm not going to pick it up, certainly, and you shouldn't either, you know? A lot of times guys will. They'll put it back in their backpack and they'll carry it for a little while longer. But I think that that's the fear guys have is with picking up that 3,000 pound phone is that you're not keeping that 3,000 pounds. You're helping a guy take it out and put it down. And hopefully he leaves it there.
Yeah, that's a good way. I always tell guys, you're only as sick as your secrets.
Yeah.
So when you expose it to the light, it loses its power.
Yeah.
So setting it on the table exposes it to the light. When you get it out to the light, you've gotten it out.
Yeah.
And now you can both talk about it. Okay, now that I know it's out, that thing's been, how long has that thing been?
Long is it?
Yeah, how long you been holding
That's
that thing?
heavy, Bubba.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So that's it's good to practice those principles really in all your affairs. And it's just a simple process of keeping your side of the street clean. Because we're all, if you really get honest with yourself and you really, like I tell guys, I've had guys in church go, say to me and outside of the church too, they're like, hey, well, I don't sin. I'm not a sinner. It's like, I say, okay, let me ask you a question. If I could put a silent radio on your forehead that would display everything you're thinking, and you could wear that all day long,
you wouldn't leave the house.
you
wouldn't leave the house.
You'd be in trouble with your business partners.
Yes,
you'd be in trouble with your wife. You'd be in
100%.
trouble. The stuff that goes through these domes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're really transparent with yourself, we're all broken at some level. And, it's I had
a gift it is to understand that. I think that's a great,
and get
to understand that.
No, I'm not. No, I'm.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That silent radio thing. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Now that you mention it, now that you put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, you're wildly powerful, right? You're broken. And at the same exact moment, like you've got unlimited power. Most of us have never even tapped into just how great we can do, how great we can be, this life we can create for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so it's holding both of those things at the same time. That's the balance that's hard for guys. I think they think if I admit that I'm broken, well, then I lose all my power. It's like, no. That's not the case, right? You can hold those both at the same time. Right?
Yeah, that's the big challenge. It's like you have two pots. One is completely perfect. The other one is broken. And so when the light of God gets dropped into the broken pot, it's through your cracks.
Yeah.
It's through the cracks that people see God in you. They see Christ in you.
That's absolutely true.
It is.
Yeah.
It's I was told that one day by a pastor in Monterey, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was always trying to pretend
Keep it
that
all together.
Oh yeah, I got no cracks.
Not at all. Yeah.
You've seen me. You see how I'm rolling.
Yeah.
And it's all rooted and grounded in ego and pride. And so
And
yeah.
it was in recovery. You had a moment though. You said we're going to touch on that. What was this? You had a turning point of sorts.
Yeah.
It sounds like. Can you walk me through that and just tell me?
I think the ultimate journey is we've just been chatting. I think the journey is that all men want to find, they want to be whole, they want to be complete, they want to be at peace, and they want to feel like they've accomplished something in their life. And so up to the point where I was telling you, I went to City Team, I had stuffed everything in that hole. And we had talked about that earlier in the conversation we were having. And so by the time I got to City Team, I think I was 2 months in the program, and I had completely surrendered. I was working the front gate. We'd serve about 150 homeless people, 100 to 150 a night, and I would kid around with them. And I said, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to surrender to the process, and I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be present. And I walk up to each homeless person, I'd shake their hand and said, man, we're glad to have you here today. What are we having for dinner tonight? And I said, well, we're having a little creme brulee and steak tartare. And I'd mess with them. We're just having spaghetti,
Again,
again for the 50th time. And in that process, there was one afternoon, it was about 2 p.m, and on the main floor, there was nobody there. The gate was closed, and the door was open, and I was sitting in a chair looking out at the chaos going on the street. Nobody on the main floor, nobody in the building, very rare. It was quiet. And I was sitting there, and in a moment of solitude, I just had this presence come over me, and it was like a warm blanket, and it just descended on me. And I remember looking up. I don't know how long it went on, but I felt this peace that I'd never felt in my life. And then all of a sudden, the presence left and the peace remained. And when that presence left, I looked up, and I had a tear in my eye. I remember crying a little. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was what I'd been searching for my whole life, and that was peace, to find peace. And I just met the Prince of Peace. Yeah. And there's other guys that have had that type of experience.
Yep.
And since that day, all of the messiness of life that you and I have talked about several times, with the family, with your wife, with the kids, with all of that craziness, despite with my ministry, with the sober living facility, we got 16 guys in the home, and there's chaos all the time. Yeah. And despite all that, I'm at peace. And that is the difference between the new Rocky and the old Rocky. I don't strive. I don't need to get somewhere to be something that I'm not. I have received the gift. And now I'm at peace, and I can hang out with guys like you and just be who I am. And since I've done that, doors have opened, and I meet guys like you. I get favor coming and going in my business life, and I see doors open up. And as charming as you and I, might be,
sure,
I see that door open, and a guy just gives me a big old job and says, "Hey, it's yours. You guys have." And I was like, how did that just happen? And it happens more than I would admit, but it's just, you see doors open and certain doors close. And when those doors close, I wonder why they're closing.
I'm sure you still do. You go, what's the plan here?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I don't always know what's going on, but I think it's a real good snapshot and a reminder to me that I am not in control.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't like the way that sounds, it doesn't mean you can't be driven. It doesn't mean you can't have a vision. It doesn't mean that you can't step out in faith and start something new. It doesn't mean any of that, but it's quite a journey, man. So
have you found yourself praying that prayer again of like, God, if you're real, show me? I mean, has that happened more? I mean, since then? I mean,
no,
was that a one-time thing?
Yeah, it was one time, and the deposit's there, and and I know what it is.
Yeah.
And so now the prayer is like, guys, will ask me, hey, I'll probably ask you by the end of the day, hey, what can I pray for you about? And so there's a lot of power in prayer. I experienced that over the last 15 years. And I tell guys all the time, just pray that I would do God's will, his will in my life. And may I just glorify him in everything I do. And that's working with other men, being a good steward with what he gives me, being a good husband, being a good father, being a good leader in my ministry, and being more present. I need to slow down more, like we all do, and God's using me, so I'm in a good place. There's going to be more cool things happening.
Yeah,
there always is. So. That prayer is been answered, and it's that Spirit's been deposited in me, and it speaks for me in times when I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Do you follow me?
Follow you for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What do you, before we wrap up here, because you're right, there's about 10 things we've talked about. We could talk about for another hour on each one of them.
Oh yeah.
Right. And hope we find our own bits of wisdom in there. And I would say that I'm constantly searching. I think that's kind of it's become the kind of the purpose for me is, and I don't know if it's wisdom as much as it is discernment. Right. I really find that that's what I'm looking for now in life is, wisdom I feel like can be borrowed. We can read about it. We can study it. I can ask you questions. Hey, what would you do in this situation? You might give me some good advice. A book might give me good advice. Life experience gives me all that. Discernment is where I find myself constantly struggling to know, okay, now when. It's like I understand the tools in the toolbox. I know exactly how they work, but not always clear on which one at what time. Right. And so that's where I'm chasing. But as we wrap up, I think from you, I think where, in this journey as men go, whether they're, struggling with an addiction thing or not, I think that to touch on it, the reason I think that I've always loved conversations with men that have struggled with addiction is because they've gone to the edge and they've looked over it.
Oh yeah.
And they've come back, hopefully, and so the perspective of having gone to that edge, and there's lots of men that chase lots of edges. Right. And those are always the most interesting people. And that's why I called this thing the, front of center podcast, to just that FOC of you have to lean in. I believe you've got to be leaning into life and pushing in to ever really get to experience what this journey is all about. Right. So, as men, are out there listening, like what's one thing that like that first step, right? That first step into whether they're struggling with addiction or not, we all want to be better, I hope. And like, where do we go, man? What's that first thing you wake up in the morning and what is it for you?
Man, you're asking big questions. I think for me, it's, for me, every day is to do his will. And I pray every morning. My wife will tell you, and I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I am saying that with a guy that's tried it all, stuffed it in the bag, stuffed it in the hole, tried everything, and then found freedom. I know where it comes from. I know where the source comes from, and I know that he has a will for my life, and I know I have a plan for my life too. And when the two collide, then in the middle, then you have a thing called discernment.
Yeah.
What's his will? Because his plan's going to be better than mine. And so that's the battle that we have, that I have. But being that I've been there and had all the stuff had me. Now I have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have me.
Right.
So I think my priorities, or for a man, is that most of the stuff that we put value in or that we take stock in doesn't really have a whole lot of value. And there's a little sign in my office that says, it's the little thing. One day you will realize that the little things were really the big things.
Yeah.
So being present, I think about it this way, Brian, is that when I take my last breath, because life is short, right? It's but a vapor. So whether you're 8 or 80, you don't have a whole lot of time. So as I stand over my own celebration of life, procession is probably too big of a word, but as I look at that little celebration and a few people show up, what do I want people to stand up and not lie about? Because you go to funerals and like everything that guy said, that is a lie. That guy was,
he was an asshole.
a complete and utter a-hole. So what, I think that's a good starting point. What do I want my legacy to be? And so if I took everybody in the room and we had a whiteboard and you handed them a pen and they say one word that describes Brian or Rocky, integrity, honesty,
God, we hope so. Don't
love.
we?
Yeah, we hope that those are the things. So to your point, what is my goal and how do I start my day? And though with those things in mind, hopefully I conduct myself in such a way that I can bring some light to this world and light to every situation that I am. And so being a man of faith, I want people to see Christ in me, the hope. When you meet Brian Trainer, you know there's something different about him. When you meet me, you know there's something different about this guy. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Well, I can tell you what it is. It's not me. And so that's what I would say is the world will lie to you. And I will wrap it up by saying this. I did a Wednesday night teaching in Johnstown, and I listed 30 people from Ernest Hemingway to Junior Seau, the linebacker for the San Diego Chargers. They had money, they were famous, and they all killed themselves.
Yep.
So if money and job and status and all that stuff is, well, then why do all these people kill themselves?
Yeah.
So keep the main thing is what I would say. And really, I just got a divine recalibration. And along with that came joy and letting go of what I was holding on to real tight, thinking that I had control.
Yes.
And I really don't. And so being able to come and talk to men like you and hang out with you this is what I live for. If this video blesses one guy, you know, when you go hunting, when you go fishing, when you go do all of this beauty that God provided us, enjoy it, man. Don't make it an idol, but enjoy it, because all these gifts, all these animals, the mountains, the rivers, it's all a gift that's been given to us that we get to play in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little playground, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a playground for kids and grown-ups, right?
And don't forget that, right? That you're just out there just being a big kid. I've say this too often, but it's so true that I can't stop. Is just go be a kid, you know?
Remember when we were up in Idaho?
Yep.
We were up, was it Clearwater?
Yeah, on the Clearwater River.
Yeah, we were up at Clearwater. I caught one fish, man, the whole time, and
that's hunting steelhead. That's a pretty good trip.
Yeah,
you know, with steelhead it is, you know.
Dude, and the ice was, man, it was a little bit too cold.
It was.
But I still had a good time.
Yes.
On the way home.
Yeah.
I was chatting with my brother-in-law the whole way home, and we went back to Boise, and it was still a good time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So
cause you're just out there just having fun. And I think we forget too often. Like I was in Belize fishing a couple weeks ago, and, you know, we were chasing the big 3 tarpon, bonefish and permit, but there was a little spinning rod in there that they had for catching bait and things. And my buddy's fishing. There's only one guy fishes at a time. And I was like, you mind if I throw that thing? And he kind of looked at me like, well, most guys just want to go out on the front and throw the fly rod. And I'm like, if I can catch a fish, I'll catch a fish. I don't care what the fish is. And I probably caught 25 different species of fish off the back of the boat. Cause I'm like, man, this is all I ever wanted to do as a kid. It's all I wanted to do was just ride my bike to the lake and go catch a fish. And here I am on an ocean in maybe the most beautiful place in the world. In my opinion, on the ocean spectrum.
It's pretty cool.
And you just go, don't forget, man, that this little kid, this little 12-year-old, 12-year-old me would be really pissed off at you for not picking up that other little spinning rod and let your ego down. You know what I mean? Don't go to be the big guy, the big fly fisherman, catching the big tarpon. Go catch a little snapper. It's still an absolute blast. And plus it's the ocean. God knows what's going to end up on that hook, And I agree, man, just not forgetting that we're just a grown up ass kids. And and that joy, just that simple joy of it. I think we forget that too often, you know?
I was on home confinement, and I ended up not having to go to county. I got 4 months home confinement, another divine intervention deal. And I was coming home from Target. I got out of the house 3 days a week to stock shelves. I was making $8.85 an hour. And I got to the grocery store and it started raining, right? And it got put on my heart. I heard that still small voice. Where did we lose the joy? And I saw people running into the store and it started raining hard. Everybody whipped out their umbrellas like there was acid coming from the sky.
Yes.
And I heard this voice, God is my witness. And it said, when you're riding home from here, go through every puddle you can hit.
Yeah.
And I did, man. I went through, and it was raining hard, dude. And I was just splashing through every puddle.
Yeah.
And that hit me. To your point, is that, you know, it's like, where do we?
When did you stop having fun?
Yeah. When did this happen, man?
Yeah.
It's like, get wet.
Yeah.
Let
Go have fun. Absolutely. And I ask a lot of guys that, like, what are you doing today that would make 12-year-old you really proud of what you're doing, you know? And I think that's, I kind of circle back to the same thing. Like when I was 12, I just wanted a fishing rod and a bow and a bike so I could go do all those things. And that's kind of what my life is today now, you know, except for I built this cool little fort that we get to play in as well and talk about it. But I mean, for you, what would 12-year-old you be really proud of?
Man, I think the 12-year-old me would be proud of the man that I've become and the lives that I've impacted. And to truth be told, when I walked into City Team in 2009, I think I've told you this before, but I was in a rough place. And if somebody would have showed me the panorama of the life that I now live, like my job, my wife, my home, my family, my, you know, everything.
Your tribe of men that you spend time with.
Which
I think is a great measure.
And if the 12-year-old boy could see that, and he said, this is what your future is going to look like, I would say, well done.
Awesome.
Well done. The journey to get there was
a little rough.
It was rough, man, and I do not recommend it. So it's but it's been a blessing, and so I get to, again, you know, you and I have had some really cool conversations, and so this is kind of the stuff we talk about off camera
every lunch. Yeah. That's the funny thing is, like, I think that's what makes this fun for me. I'm just doing what I do every day. You know what I mean? I have so many conversations I'll have at any given lunch or any just coffee meeting that I'm like, yeah, that'd be fun to hear recorded and put out on the podcast as well. And so, I knew we were going to do that, just to have another conversation like we've always had. But it gave me an opportunity maybe to ask you and put you on the spot and kind of go like, tell me more. So thanks for the time with this. Like I said, we could talk for another 2 hours.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
I don't know if everybody could listen for 2 more hours. And so we'll wrap it up and just say, Rock, thank you. Your book is called Rock Bottom, The Heroin Addict Next Door. There you go.
Yeah.
So if somebody want to pick this up and give it a read, where do they find it, Rock?
You can go to Amazon. You can find it on Barnes and Noble. You can find it on any major book site. So just go to Amazon. It's under $10. But if you have somebody struggling in your life, I've gotten a lot
That's the mission of this book.
Yeah. Guys like you that are, you know, people that are related to the addict or the alcoholic that have read that book have sent me emails saying, you know, it was like putting a GoPro on my head and taken me on the journey, and now I understand what I didn't understand before. Keep in mind that the manuscript when I wrote the book was 300 pages. By the time the publisher, you know, trimmed it up, and we wanted to make it, at least from Denise's point of view, the publisher, she wanted to make it crisp, to the point. So 2 left jabs and a right hand. Get to the point and make an impact. So
it's about impact.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, it's not about ego, because ego wants it to be, you know, 3 inches wide.
Yeah, and right? It wasn't my idea to put my picture on the front either.
What else you put up there though? Right? Yeah, but it's but there's impact in that, and I've always felt that way with books too. It's like there's so many times, so many guys film, and I know that it's a publishing thing, but it's like, man, you could have given me probably 15 to 25 good pages.
Absolutely.
And I'd have gotten what I needed to out of this book, And so many times I spend those hours reading going like, man, you could have done this really quickly and really gotten to it. So I love it. I love the size. And it's like, especially a guy who goes, I can read this in probably a day if I need to, and I can get what I need to out of it. And so rock bottom, great book. And hopefully impactful. And would it be used as a tool to give to another man? You go, hey, I think this might be a good read for you.
Absolutely. The crazy part about this is, I think it came out 4 years ago. And this book it's in prisons, jails. It has worked its way all across the country, and it has, the first page in there is a tribute to my wife, who was a meth addict. Mm-hmm. She's got 24 years clean and sober, and she's been a role model for me and an example of what it's like to walk this thing out and live in a sober life. So, she was a huge inspiration, and she's the one that really was needling me to write this thing in the first place. I wasn't. About halfway through it, I was like, I don't know. You know how you want to give up on a project?
For
it's
sure.
like, I don't know a publisher, and I really don't even know how to write a book.
Yep.
And so she kept needling me, and then one thing led to another. Then I did an interview, and the interview went nationwide, and it was called The Heroin Addict Next Door. It was my group publishing. Mm-hmm. And it was a big interview, and it was, and then all of a sudden I like called them up and said, hey, can I use your Heroin Addict Next Door as a subtitle? I'm writing this book. And so Michael Kiefer came alongside me, helped me write it. And then one thing led to another. My pastor friend in Johnstown, the crazy part of all this, Denise, the publisher who owns the publishing company in Denver, went to Azusa Pacific and did a 3-day mission trip on $2 a day to live in the Tenderloin. And when she heard about the Tenderloin experience and what I went through, she goes, I got to meet this guy. So we gave her the manuscript. She read it, and she's like, all right. We went to Boulder, met at Jason's Deli, and she goes, I'm going to publish this book. That's how it all. It just
came together.
That's an example of all I had to do was step out.
Yeah.
Just do what I could do.
That first step.
And the rest got taken care of. Yep. And I don't have to tell you by who.
And it's so just all often that's just it, right? It's like you got something you're dreaming about, something you want to do. Take the first step. And I think that the people will come around you to support the rest of that journey. It happens to me way too often.
All the time. And you're going to get hit.
Sure.
So
but I'm good at that. Get good at that, right? Get good at taking the punches. Right?
Yeah, man.
So Rock, thank you, man. Thanks for coming again. Guys, this is
Appreciate
Handshake, the FOC podcast, front of center. A little different topic today, but I was super pumped to have the conversation. And so thank you guys for being here with us. Don't forget my boys over at the GOT Outpost, where they are educating you on how and what gear to use when you're on an adventure. But thanks again for the time. It means the world to us that you're all here listening at all. And hopefully there's impact here. We're after that one guy.
Absolutely.
That one guy or gal that can take something good. And if nothing else, I get something out of it. So it's a blessing for me. And so we'll let you guys do it again. Thank you for listening to the FOC podcast.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day.